Hi everybody, Judy Parcell here. It's an early Friday morning, and the sun's coming up over the hills. We're in a heat wave. We got forest fires going on, but not near me, thank God, so I feel comfortable enough to be able to focus on making a little video this morning. We're not out of danger yet, but we all are praying. This little flower I drew with a Pitt pen, which, if I recall, I told you it's got an alcohol base, so it won't spread if I put watercolors on it, supposedly. And I decided to use these brushes again. I don't feel I have full mastery of them. I watched some other people use them, and they're running into the same problems, but they're tackling the problems differently. And because I feel like I'm still kind of a novice with them, I decided to give them another trial this morning. The 5 colors I'm using is a yellow, and this is an orange, a pink, a magenta, and a green. I like to keep things with simple designs to 5 colors. Otherwise, it can get confusing. I'm also using my trusty old brushes for moving around with water, and I've got my tub of water here. So I thought I would start with the pink. You always put on your lighter colors first, and then you go to your darker colors. These can be painted initially on, and then you can go back in with another layer and make it darker. So where I was putting down purple, it was really kind of unnecessary. I found out you can layer the colors here. So let's get started. You'll notice the ink is not smearing. That's why we use Pitt pens. Use the wrong kind of black marker, you'll have black smears. I want to achieve kind of a 3D effect, so I'm leaving this sort of central part white for now. May change my mind later and do something different. I'm going to turn this so that I can be more comfortable with painting. Go this way with the point, and it's smooth. It gives you a broader point. I was kind of reviewing some of my videos, and I was completely out of the viewfinder on a couple of them. And I apologize for that. I get so carried away painting. Now you'll notice that gave it a 3D effect. choosing to go around, turn it around so that I can balance the colors. If I go all the way around, then I'll know how to apply the next color, if I even have to apply a darker coating of this. I don't know. These are dreamy to use. They really are, especially on this paper. I was watching a girl struggling with blending with watercolor paper, nice, expensive paper, and she was having a heck of a time blending her colors. I'll do this way. This is kind of a weird shaped petal, isn't it? I saw a lady demonstrate the Arteza, but they give you so many colors. You know, you end up with these big kits and then you don't use but a few of them. I only use a few colors, so I always prefer the smaller kits. And one of the things I discovered is that I can replace these pens one at a time. And where if I'd bought Arteza, that would have been it. They don't have individual pens that you can buy if you run out of a color. So I did find a source for these. Pretty much going to stick with these just on that selling point. Down below in the video, I will give you a link to where you can buy these individually. Now they're a bit more expensive and you pay freight, but you're not buying a whole set, which I don't want to get caught doing. It's wasteful. Now with these, you always start with the palest shade. You never go directly to the darkest shade. All right. Now I'm trying to decide, and while I'm deciding whether I should use a magenta or not. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to see if this, look at that blend. Look how nicely that blends. I like that. beautiful. Now if I want to brush up and get some of that pink out of here, I can do this too. Brush it up and push it to the back. Still have a little eraser there. Hopefully I can get this done because I want to do a walk this morning. I like to walk and cycle in a day. With the heat, that limits me to when I can walk. Usually early morning. Of course, my highest energy is early morning, right? Now just blending that makes a difference on how the flower looks. I'm very sold on this paper. Very sold on it. I'm going to bring this down into this trough area because there's enough pigment to do that. Ooh, that's beautiful. You know, the older and wiser you get, the easier you want to be able to do things. It's a smarter way to go. Sometimes I see artists do very complicated things, and they maybe enjoy the scientific part of painting, like all the techniques and stuff. And I do some of that too, but that's on technique day. That's when I'm in the mood to do it. Now there's my yellow center, and you can see I've achieved a three-dimensional look to the flower, and now I want to go in, but I'm going to do this with water, and in between these leaves I want to wet this a little bit, and the reason being that I'm going to come in with a lot darker pigment. And I want to be able to move this around. Yeah, look at that. That is exactly what I wanted to achieve. A little darker than the one on top for shading. I like that. I'm going to add the water. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of water. A little bit of pigment. You don't need much on these strong pigments, just a little. Bring that brush in. Blend it out. I'm finally achieving what I wanted to do, shading. Now this little exercise I'm doing here is important for me because when I get in the field and I start painting those houses and those old buildings, I want to be able to get this kind of smooth consistency because there is a lot more detail on them and a little tighter area to work in. Okay. I can always come in and put more color in, always, always. But what I like is this dissolves. And if I want, I can pick it up. Now, if I don't feel it's strong enough, I can come in and add more pigment. But look how well that blends. Put the water on first. Let me move this way. You put the water on first. And you come in with the pigment. Now you'll notice the pigment's thinning out. They were saying with the Arteza it won't do that, but I don't know. Okay. I think I'll go in and make some of these areas darker, so I'll put on more pigment because they're kind of dry now. Bring out even more. Get 3D effect. This is sucking up the water, and I'm getting no pigment. There we go. Okay. Now just for interest, I think I'll go on to the, and I did notice with the green that it does not blend as well, so I am going to do something different. I'm going to wet this leaf because this tends to stain. No, wait a minute, I'm thinking of alcohol inks. Forget that. But I am going to wet this entire leaf with water. Okay. Now if I scan this, it'll turn brown in digital. So this is not a piece of art that will scan well. And it would take a lot of color correction in Photoshop, which makes double the work. So if I were to paint this like I'm doing here right now, then I might not want to consider doing the digitized version of it because it's a lot of extra work. It'd be quicker just to draw this again and put it in, scan it in as a drawing and then paint it in Photoshop, because digital doesn't translate the same way that the natural stuff does. Now, the only problem with preloading it with water is the water gets sucked up in the brush. So I have to spend some time over on the side. I don't know if you can see this, but I have to go like this to get the pigment up. There we go. It just does not like the water. Now, they said that Arteza does. I find sometimes on the videos, especially if it's coming from the manufacturer, that's not necessarily true. They're going to want their product to be favorable. They showed 11 different techniques that you could do with these on the Arteza one. But these are a different brand, and they suck up the water. It's hard getting the pigment out. So I think I'll start on this other leaf and come back to this. Let this dry. You can tell looking at this bristle point, it's totally white. And I'm going to go like this and see if I can't move the ink down. It's coming. I can feel I can hear the water in it. Yeah, that's one way. Takes a while though. It's getting there. There we go. Boy, it takes a while. Oh, fun and games. Now I want to do more green in here for shading. So I just keep laying it on, laying it on, laying it on. All right. Yeah. I'm pulling up from the tip, and I'm just shaping the leaf. Just like I did the petals. Let's see if I can get back to this. I don't know if I can yet. Yeah, that's working. It's needed a little time. I'm trying to achieve this rounded effect, three-dimensional effect with darker color. And you know, initially I got this green mixed up with the alcohol green that stains, and this just doesn't do that. So, I may have confused you earlier in the video. But I'm going to let that sit a while. And I'm going to go on to this little tendril. Okay. So this leaves me to thinking there's these leaves behind, and I'm going to wait on these other leaves, but these petals that are behind, I'm going to come in with the pink, but then I can always darken it more. I would love to make them darker, just to be contraire. Well, let's go ahead with this first. This is supposed to be a shadow, so I am going to put a little bit of orange here. Okay. And you know, orange and pink go together so nicely. A lot of people think I'm nuts, but it's true, they do. Pink, green. Now I'm going to just smear this around a little bit. There you go. And then the rest of this is going to be yellow. And I don't know what I'm putting in the center yet. You know, I just made this flower up, so. There we go. That's interesting. Now I'm using a magenta here. It's just a shade or two darker than the pink, just for contrast. You see I'm kind of loading up on the pigment because that's going to help this curl. Got to remind myself to move my art so you can see what I am doing. The simpler the design, the easier it is to figure out placement of the color and what colors you want to use. When you get into doing Zen doodles, it gets complicated. And that's usually when I paint with other artists around who can help me solve my dilemma. Okay, let's go. One more. There we go. Yep. Just for some reason, I wanted to do this way. As an artist, you should always follow your heart, because it's right 100% of the time. This would definitely turn brown if I scanned it. Isn't that amazing? So the only thing I can do is photograph it with the iPod, or the iPad, what am I saying, iPad, when I'm finished, because that'll automatically make this a digital file. We should see if that comes out. Scanning doesn't seem to work as well as using, say, an iPad or a cell phone. Don't ask me why. The scanner I have is very high resolution. It's an Epson. They're the best. Give this a little more strength here. Now there's a method to my madness here, so bear with me. I am going to take this brush, wet it, and then I'm going to draw this red color down. Just a little bit, not much, just a little bit. Okay. I don't want that to be a distinct line, that's why. There. I don't have to do much, just a little bit. I think that's it. Okay. Now, I wanted to do something really potent, so we still have the bud over here to do. And the way I'm going to do that, if you've ever really looked at buds, they're a bit darker and more concentrated than the top part of the flower. One, because of the sun, and I think that's all I'll need. And then I want to go in with my brush, add some water to this, and smear it up. Use a thinner thing. There we go. There we go. Now there's something very extreme I want to do to this, and I'm probably going to regret it. But if you don't try it, you're not going to know. I think the first thing I need to do, though, is finish up this leaf. Because I want to look at the overall picture before I finish up this leaf. Now I'm moving from a red color, so I want to be sure that brush is really clean in the water. There we go. Okay. Really make it clean. You don't want any red in your leaf. I'm pushing this way because I'm trying to get the shape of the leaf. I'm pushing it up, up, up. Scrub-a-dub. This paper doesn't pill. I love this so much. I've had watercolor paper pill on me. Ooh. but this one doesn't. All right. So I can come back and look at this a little later. But here goes the extreme. I may ruin it. Who knows? But here goes. I want to make this a purple center, but I got to have purple somewhere else. So see these wide areas? I think I'm going to come in with a heavy, heavy purple liner. I could be dead wrong to do this. We will soon find out, won't we? And I just want it to go that way. And the reason I'm doing the purple is to give the petal a 3D effect. I might be terribly wrong doing this. I don't know. Oh, that's wet. Okay, I'll have to come down to another part here. Okay. I don't want to get paint on my white part here, on my fist. And then you just kind of go, just like that. This is a pretty intense color against the others. But I have a thought in mind. I don't know if it will be successful, but you'll find out with me. I see art so much as an experiment. It's not funny, because you just don't know. One more to go. And I want to just lay this on direct because I don't know. That may be too heavy. I don't know. Now I think what I want to do here is I want to put pink in here. Is that pink? No, that's not pink. I'm going to put pink in the center, and then I'm going to come in with purple dots. But I need high contrast here. Fun, fun, fun. Might be able to get my walk in this morning before it gets too hot. Started this pretty early, so we shall see. You know, it's sort of like it's little pistils in there. You got to put that color somewhere else. You can't just have one color. It doesn't work well. Refine this out a little bit. I kind of left these stubby, so these are very good for writing. If you're into writing lettering, they're very accurate, very dependable for that. I am not a calligrapher, though I did learn calligraphy in high school. I went to a convent. Okay. I am going to take and refine this down a bit more, just with the watercolor brush. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I just didn't want it to be totally sharp lines. So, just kind of smoothing them out a little bit. The rest of it's so smooth. You've got to be consistent. And that just makes that much more interesting. And I'm also using it to help shape the roundness of the petal again by using this for shading. You notice that? Yes. Oh, yes. How nice. Yes, I like that very much. I could smooth this even more. Yes, gentle, gentle smoothness. Very different. Well, we knew it was going to be, didn't we? I love having the ability to thin out these intense colors if I want to. This is incredible. So I would say after doing so many of these paintings with these brushes and having you go through it with me, I feel confident to go out in the field with my Pitt pen drawings and finish up those buildings. And that collection I am going to probably put up on YouTube. I might make a video of us all out there working in the field. That would be kind of fun. If I can get the ladies to agree to that. If they're having a bad hair day, they may not agree to it. We all know about bad hair days. So there you have it. Now I'd like to put a little bit of this purple on this bud because I just think it would be not a bad idea. Just a little bit. Yes, there. I don't think I have to do anything more. Now I'm looking at the only thing left to do, really, is how are the leaves. I could do more work with those by using a little darker green, but the dark green in this is not a warm green, unfortunately. It tends to be a blue-green, and that is problematic for me. So I will probably just put on another layer of this down here. This is a warm green. You start coming in with a blue-green, it just ruins it. And I'll make this in the shade. Give it character. Just keep layering the layers. See how it does it. I'll go over here. then the tendril. And I think I'll put the shady spot on the tendril here, on this side. Okay. Looking at this overall, I think one of the things I would like to do here is really intensify that orange spot by adding a bit more pigment. I thought that would be the last thing I'd want to do, but actually it isn't. I'm finding this a bit sharp, so I want to work that a little bit more. That's a bit sharp. I'll work that a little bit more. Almost up into here would be nice, huh? Anyway, I think we got this down. There's still a little bit here that could be worked. A little bit too red. Okay. There. Okay, I feel very satisfied with this, and I don't want to make it so lengthy that you get where you're clicking elsewhere. We don't want you clicking elsewhere. It really needs to be back in there. That's really in the shade. There we go. So now you saw how I achieved three-dimensional effect, shading by adding layers of the same color on top, and I could get the shade here, the shade here, the shade on the tendril, the shade here, and this is kind of intense, isn't it? I think I need to lift some of that. Yes, ma'am, I do. Little intense here. So I'm going to lift a bit of this. Let me get a paper towel. Let's see how the paper towel trick works. Look at that. Yeah, a little bit of red's fine, but we don't need a ton of it, do we? Okay, so let's get in there, and they just seem to be standing out. I don't mind it down here on the bottom because that's in the shade, but when you get up here, it shouldn't be shade. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to work this up a little bit. I'll leave some of the red, and then I'm going to blot with a paper towel. And then don't blot in the same place or you'll dirty your white. We'll just do this again. We'll lighten it up even more. It's amazing how much this lifts off this paper. Okay, so make sure you have clean paper here when you go to do this blot. There. I just got one more to do. I definitely want to paint that down there. Okay. Yes. Actually, I like that. So I will go. Yeah, that was a bit intense, I felt. Use a clean piece of paper. Sure you don't get... Okay, we're going to do this again. To be careful. There. Now when we look at this, that looks much better. That's not standing out and burning you. What is standing out for me is this spot though. And this spot, which I think needs a little more blending. These are just little touch-ups you do. It's called cleaning up, and you just sort of look it all over. And I'm going to just blend this even more. I liked it, but I want it to be softer than it is. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, a little softer. And the water helps. There. I could actually see that beading in there. There we go. Just work this around until it looks the way you like it. Kind of working that pink in there a little bit more. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah. I sort of felt that was harsh. I felt that was harsh. Much better. Softer. More femme-femme. That's much softer. That's more feathered. And can't say enough about this paper. It really takes the abuse. Oh dear. Smear a little there. Okay. That's a wower, huh? Now that looks much, much better since I smoothed that out. I want to thank you all for coming to my channel today and taking the time to go through this exercise with me. I hope you have a really good day, and I hope it's cooler than it is here. And I have to get out for my walk. I'll talk at you later.